This is Lloyd Allen at fixingmarriages.com. My hope in this video presentation is to equip singles and youth with the tools, the skill set, the knowledge that you need to have a successful marital relationship. And so today I'm calling all singles, all youth, if you are desirous of learning the fundamental attributes, the components necessary to have a successful marriage, this video presentation is just for you. The divorce rate today is 50%. Out of every 100 marriages, 50 end in divorce. Second time marriages, 65 end in divorce. Third time marriages, 75 end in divorce. And so I have committed my life to dent the conscience of the world, to change the trajectory of marriage, and to create a new generation of singles entering marriage and married folk navigating marriage. And so I have prepared a book. I'm an author as well. A close look at love, sex, and relationships for singles. I believe that the best time to prepare for marriage is while you are still single. Did you know that when you get married, who you are in marriage is exactly who you have been in as a single person? Marriage does not automatically change a person. No. So it is who you are as a single person that you take into marriage. And so please bear with me today as I share with you some fundamental tips that you must know and understand and embrace before you enter marriage. Because the fact is, the number one cause of divorce today, you know what that is? It is incredible ignorance. People, the average person enters marriage like this. They say, well, let me hook up with him or her and see where it takes us. Let me hook up with her and make the best of it. No. Marriage is too solemn, too serious to enter into as a novice. I read something recently. You know what it says? It says, eternity is too long to be unhappy. Isn't it very sad to know you have spent 30 years, 40 years preparing yourself with a good career? You have reached the height of your educational pursuit. And then at the age of 35 or 40, you get married. And you got married to the wrong person. And you live the rest of your life in pain and abject misery. You see, friends, after 23 years of counseling couples, individuals, and families in different parts of the world, I've witnessed much in my time. I've witnessed the pain, the heartache, the brokenness that people are grappling with in dysfunctional, shattered, toxic marriages. There are many who are suffering in silence. There are some who have married a narcissist. They want out, but they find it difficult. There are many who marry somebody with whom they cannot communicate. Sometimes I sit in a counseling session, for example, and I say to myself as I see this person before me, absorbed in pain and crying. And I thought to myself, I said, well, if I only met you, if I had only met you before you got married, you would not be in the dilemma in which you are today. And so I am prepared to prepare a generation of singles who possess the knowledge to enter marriage with confidence and to have a great marriage. And so, as I seek to prepare a network of relationship experts, my question to you is, will you be one of them? Will you be one of them? The only way to safeguard against a miserable marriage is to possess knowledge. Okay? For like a surgeon, don't think for one moment that you can perform a successful surgical procedure without first of all acquiring knowledge. This surgeon has spent, for example, 8 years in med school. Think, for example, somebody sitting in the cabin of an airplane ready to fly, but we have not done a course in aviation. That's what you call buying your ticket for certain death. You can understand why so many fatalities exist today. In the arena of marriage, 50% end in divorce. In other words, out of every 100 persons, 50 die. I'm talking about people who got married. Do you want to be another divorce statistic? I am here prepared to share with you all that you will ever need to prepare for a successful marriage. Everything. In addition to sharing with you my program, as a matter of fact, you'll be able to download a free blueprint where you can have a complete overview of the 9 fundamental attributes that I've observed after 23 years that you must possess if you are to have a great marriage. And I want to share these with you today. And you'll be able to download, to observe or preview these 9 modules. In just a little while, I'll tell you how. Just stay with me. Okay? Let's move over as I share with you the 9 principles that you must observe if you are to have a great and successful marriage. First of all, the number 1, we have role expectations. Role expectations. Can I share this with you today? That if you don't learn these basic principles before marriage, then you will be condemned to learn them essentially through fighting in marriage. And many times the fighting does not stop. It normally escalates. And after a while, when there is no end in sight, no resolution, many want out. And so you cannot afford to learn these through fighting in marriage. You must learn them before marriage. Role expectations, number 1. Let me ask you a question, those who are planning to get married. Do you know what it is that really inform your lover's view or perspective of marriage? For example, a person enters marriage. In his home, the man, for example, he saw his mother always working outside the home. He enters marriage. In his mind, he's thinking, my wife will be working outside the home. And so, what informed his perspective on marriage? His upbringing. In his lover's mind, she might be thinking, oh, I'm not going to be working. I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of the kids. They get married. They did not discuss this before marriage. What do you think happened? I've seen cases like this, friends. No ends of problem. Altercation, quarreling, bickering constantly. For they have different expectations, but they did not discuss them before marriage. And so what informs a person's expectation? There are 4 basic things that inform a person's expectation in marriage. Number one is their upbringing. And the other three I'll share with you in the course because I don't have the time to go through everything in detail today. But one thing you must consider is role expectation. That affects marriage in such a way that you can never imagine. You never conceptualize it. Let's go to number two. We're talking about principles that you must be knowledgeable of before you enter marriage. And you must discuss these with your spouse before marriage. In my course, I go through these in detail, but let's go through a brief overview of these. Number two, the man as leader. There is an unspoken expectation in marriage that, okay, somebody has got to lead. And naturally so. For in every organization, there's got to be a leader. In the school, you have the principal. The church, you have the pastor. In the country, you have the president. In other words, somebody who is ultimately accountable. Did you know that in a relationship, the woman expects the man to lead? As a matter of fact, that's how it was designed to be. Now, the question is, does the man know the scope of his role as a leader? I'll be dealing with all of these in my course. The ways in which the man is supposed to lead. If he does not know the scope of his duty as a leader, then he could be blundering along, and that could create only frustration for his wife. And that too creates a lot of bickering and problem in the marriage. You see, a young person before they enter marriage, they are so overwhelmed by infatuation. And they say, well, this feels so good. How can anything go wrong? But may I share this with you? The shelf life of infatuation is about 12 months to 24 months. After that, you must have something to draw on if you are to forge ahead with the marriage. And you can understand why many people, after 2 years, 3 years, they divorce. For they did not have what is required to move forward beyond the phase of infatuation to have a great marriage. You must be equipped with knowledge before you get married. There are many who spend so much money on their wedding, so much preparation, but they never prepared for their marriage. I want to ask you a question. Do you want to be one of those and become a divorce statistic? You cannot. When you enter marriage, you should enter marriage with confidence that this will be a success story. Not hoping it works. Not at all. There is no room for ifs and maybes here. For guess what? Eternity is too long to be unhappy. So prepare for your happiness before you go. And so you must know, the man must know in the areas in which he is supposed to lead. For example, there are some questions to ask your lover before you get married to him. You should ask him, for example, what kind of leader will you be? Will you be the one who boss me around? Who lord it over me? Will you be a humble, meek, gentle leader? Or will you be hostile, aggressive? Are you a narcissist? In my course, I go in depth, in detail. I give you videos where you learn about the criteria of a person who possesses narcissistic personality disorder. It's a disorder. And as I told you, of course, I'm also a clinical mental health counselor. So I have to deal with people like this all the time. Narcissist. Any person who marries a narcissist will tell you it's one of the most painful experiences in life. You cannot afford to marry a narcissist. And you must know what a narcissist looks like before you enter marriage. I am saving you, young people, from a lifetime of misery, pain, and heartache. Heed the instruction and be prepared. Take your driving lessons before you get on the road. For if you don't know how to drive, you may be right, but wrong. In other words, if you don't know how to drive, you may be another statistic on the road of fatality. Okay? Remember that. Okay, let's move on. So the man as leader, another question the man was asking himself: how will I parent my kids? Will I be a passive father or an active father? Will I just be the one who is the breadwinner? Or will I be expected to also take an active role in the parenting of the children? And lady, you should answer that question before you get married as well. Because you don't want to be surprised in marriage when you expect him to be a lead, to be a parent. Another thing, how will you relate to the stepchildren? How will you discipline them? Lady, you must be asking that man that question. How will you lead in the area of loving me and cherishing me? Because remember what the vow says. Do you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife, to love her and to cherish her? And the same for the woman. Do you take this man? Will you love him and cherish him and so forth? Who will take the lead in offering love and tender loving care? If one decides not to, who will take the lead? Okay? Okay, please excuse me while I sorry about that. There's a call there. I'll turn this phone off. I'm sorry about that. Let's get back to our program. Okay, so the man as a leader, how do you do that? There are lots of questions you should ask that man before you get married. A lot of questions. Okay? And how does he deal with finances? How is he? Is he a spendthrift? Is he stingy? How is he with money? There's a lot of questions you must ask before you get married. And so the man as leader, will he be a spiritual leader? How will he lead? What kind of impression will he leave on the kids? How will he lead them? How will he guide them? What kind of legacy will he leave as it relates to his nurturing and his training of the children? A lot of questions to ask before you get married. Don't be surprised in marriage. No, ask those questions before you get married. And I want to share with you a little slogan. Remember this, a little slogan. It's very interesting. You know what it says? It says, the man is the thermostat. He regulates the heat. The woman is the thermometer. She tells how hot it is. Remember that. So man, there's a lot expected of you. You control the heat. But the woman responds. I have a lot I want to share with you. But guess what? You must answer a question. What kind of leader? So the man as leader, you must know about that. Number 3, conflict resolution. Conflict resolution. How does he resolve conflicts? Can I share something with you today? Did you know that you can assess with a 99% accuracy whether a person is likely to divorce later? Yes, you can. How can you do that? Just observe how he or she resolves conflicts today. That's it. That's the yardstick. That's the measuring rod. That's the test, primarily. Because you see, in a marriage, you'll always have conflicts. Conflicts are inevitable. But the big question is, it is not that you have conflicts, no. But how do you resolve those conflicts? That's the big question in a marriage. Does he raise his voice when he talks to you? Does he raise his hand sometimes in a gesture to physically abuse you? How does she relate to conflict? Does she remain quiet and say, well, I don't want to talk about it, forget it? We talk about the silent treatment. Is she arrogant? Is she the kind of person who must always have the last word? Wow, there's a lot to consider. She may be a supervisor on the job, a boss in the workplace. When she comes home, does she still carry or wear that superintendent hat, that supervisory hat? Or does she leave it at the door and shore up the strength of her husband so he can take up the role as leader? How does she relate to that? Is she the bossy type? Is she the one who is always domineering? Wow. And if you are spiritual, you know, the Bible talks about the woman who is cantankerous, contentious. Men, you cannot afford to enter marriage before you ask some key questions. In my course, I will teach you and show you some of those questions that you must ask that lady. And lady, I'll show you exactly how to ask those questions so you understand the thought process of that man before you get married. For listen to me, when you get married, it's basically too late. You can't just say, well, I'm sorry, I'm going through the door. I'll call it off. No. The time to call it off is during the stage of engagement. So you will not be known as a divorcee as yet. You must ask some critical, fundamental questions and get the answers before you get married. If not, you may be in for a rude awakening, but don't know it. All right? So you must understand about conflict resolution. I'm going to share with you four predictors of divorce. And you can just observe your partner. You can understand your partner. There are ways to observe or to speculate or to investigate whether your partner possesses any of these four predictors of divorce. And then you will know whether to continue with the relationship or not. You must get a course like this, friends. I've put all the information possible into this program. This program is my flagship program. And in addition to getting the course, also I want to tell you this, that you will also be getting access to an exclusive community where you'll have others to support you, and also you'll have ongoing support from me as well. All right? So we do not leave you in the cold. My commitment is to ensure that we stop at nothing in my quest to make you a relationship expert. Okay? Let's move to number 4. Number 4 talks about sex. The psychology of human sexuality. I want to talk about that. The psychology of human sexuality. By the way, let me just share with you right now, I could go on for 2 hours on this subject. I have prepared a course just on this subject of sex. And in my program, this course, you get the entire course without any extra charge because it's a part of the program. Do you know how many ladies right now are married, but they are disgruntled, dissatisfied, unsatisfied, unfulfilled because, they are complaining their husband is a novice when it comes to this subject of sexual intimacy. Do you know a lot of men, for example, they talk about sex, but they are really ignorant of the subject of sex? There's so much to learn about human sexuality. All right? In this program, I lay it out all to you. For example, let me just share with you some tips, for example, on the whole matter of human sexuality. When you talk about sex, did you know that sex really is more about you meeting the other person's needs as opposed to you having your needs met? In other words, let me put it this way. It's not so much about you having your needs met as it is meeting your spouse's needs. I talk about arousal. I talk about preparing.